You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
And here we are back on a Thursday night
Dixie
on
Elixirs,
Overgrow the Radio.
Choice
And Sam's playing a commercial. Now we're here. We were just previewing our first guest. That's all that was. Dixie Elixirs is going to be in tonight for their monthly segment. How are you, Miss Holly G?
I'm doing awesome. Just enjoying a nice high evening here on iCannabis Radio.
Legally high, mile high, and the mile high.
The mile high.
Yeah, I mean, how's it been the first week of legally smoking cannabis?
You know, honestly, it hasn't really felt much different, I guess, because I have my medical cannabis card, but you know, it's really exciting, and I think I've been feeling the excitement from people all over, so that's been the most fun.
Well, and we're going to talk about that. It's already really having a huge impact worldwide, not just in our country. We're going to get into that at the end of our news. It's amazing. You know, for all the naysayers out there, I just have to kind of laugh a little bit right now because I'm still waiting for the sky to fall. Chicken Littles of the world. Where's all the sky? It's not falling. So we'll get into that in a bit. We're going to start kind of on a solemn note tonight. It was a week of definitely a lot of highs, and then yesterday, for me personally, it was a very low day that really kind of didn't hit until last night. I lost what was to me an inspiration, and I just want to, if you'll indulge me for a few minutes, I want to tell my story of inspiration and what happened. Cashy Hyde passed away last night. For anyone who's followed his story, the little guy was 4 years and 5 months old, battled brain cancer not once but twice, beat it the first time. Back in about 2009, well, to premise that, in 2008, 2009, I spent 2 years with a backpack out in the woods being a hippie. And during that time, I did a lot of searching and really looked for a direction in my life. I knew I had back problems, and I knew I probably wouldn't be able to sit at a desk for 8 hours a day and make a real living anymore. So I needed something to do, something to keep me busy, because I kept hearing from all these old hikers, you know, you've got to find something when you're done hiking or you'll go nuts. So at the time, you know, I was using cannabis, and I'd realized that it was a savior to me. It was getting me off the pharmaceuticals, and it was relieving my pain. As I came off the trail, I had a phone conversation. Long story short, I founded Overgrow the Government. 4 months later, we headed to D.C. About 2 months before we headed out, a friend of mine said, hey, I've got a father out in Montana who wants to get out to D.C. to talk about his kid. You know, and I had never heard the story, so I got a phone call a couple days later, and, you know, right away, there's some people you meet in life that you just know you're going to be friends with, and that's what Mike Hyde was. Since then, they've become much more than friends, and Cashy, too, was amazing. What I watched with that story and what I watched that family go through is truly one of the main reasons I do what I do every day. The courage that his parents shown through the whole ordeal against law enforcement, you know, against the governor, against anyone who came up against them for trying to save their child's life is amazing. Speaking as a parent, you know, there's not a lot of people who have that level of courage to take that stand, especially with something like cannabis, right, you know, when you're giving it to your kid. So I just want everybody tonight, you know, to take a few minutes, you know, and look around at your loved ones, your kids, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your dogs. Express that love to people because we never know. We never know how long they're going to be here, you know, and we need to appreciate everyone while we're here. And to Mike and Callie, we love you guys. If you guys need anything, we're going to keep you in our thoughts and prayers, and you know how to get a hold of me. So my producer is such a fine young gentleman. He's got a little slideshow that we're going to play for a minute, just a little moment of silence, well, semi-silence, because it's got a little bit of background music for Cashy. And we know that, you know, he may be gone, but his legacy will never, ever, ever die.
When you're so long gone, you can't help yourself. When you're so dead wrong, let alone no one else. Where the children still dying in the street, and babies still living with disease. And the cops got guns, and the poor folk got sons who work for Mr. Franklin every week. And if you come looking for hard times ain't hard to find, because we're giving that lifeline only once in a lifetime. Baby, we was born, baby, we were born to be sure to endure when the storm comes. Got them sad eyes, got them cat eyes, got them angels tied for saving his life, and you better to contain yourself before you end up killed. Yeah, his bare feet touching her bare feet, the air breeze sweet near mountains peak. And I forgot what the wise man said about that ancient thread. And if you come looking for hard times ain't hard to find, because we're giving that lifeline only once in a lifetime. Baby, we was born, maybe we were born to be sure to endure when the storm comes. Baby, we was born, maybe we were born to rejoice, rejoice when the sun comes.
I would agree with that statement. I think we're back. Cancer sucks. I've lost a lot of people in my life to cancer, young and old. Had an uncle die in his 40s just a couple of years ago. There is one more piece to this story that's horrible but had a somewhat happy-ish ending. I don't have all of the exact details, but the Missoula police came into their house minutes after Cashy's death last night demanding to have his body. Weren't called. They basically forced their way into this family's house and demanded to take their dead child's body.
It's horrible.
It's appalling. So today what happened is Mike mentioned that on Facebook, and Cashy had so many thousands of followers that we all called the governor, the police, the mayor. I called multiple times, and I asked for the PIO because, I'm press. I got to take that angle. Never received a call back. I wanted a statement on their behalf, but they did come out. We found out right before the show and issued an apology and said that they will be giving a first-class funeral procession to little Cashy.
Awesome.
So that's going to be great. I only wish
it.
I could be there for him. So we're going to move on a little bit in just 1 second. I just want to give another mention. One of our sponsors, Daryl from Green Monster Glass, his father passed away also of cancer, I believe on Sunday. So, Daryl, you guys are also in our thoughts. And then Shar Richardson, who sits on our board, her ex-husband also passed this week of cancer. So it's going to, it's a tough week.
Sending out love to all the families.
Absolutely. So positive stuff. I'm shaking off the negativity, and it's not negative because out of those lives always comes something great out of every life. Absolutely. We were only here for a short time, so it's what we do over here in the legacy that we leave.
Live life to the fullest.
Yes, ma'am. So speaking of which, Colorado, as I mentioned before that, made history a week or so ago. We were in my opinion, first place anywhere in the world to ever legalize cannabis. I want to say we beat Washington because we're a time zone ahead. So despite their claims, I'm just going to claim victory on that one. And since that time, there's been a ton of amazing stuff that's happening.
Oh, yeah.
We're a week in.
Awesome.
I'm just going to start with the Fed's response, or should I say lack thereof. I don't know if you've noticed that this week. They've been very mum.
Well, I think it's a slow, baby step type thing. It's not going to all happen overnight. They're probably looking and seeing what we're going to do and waiting to take action.
That's exactly what's leaking out. This Eric Sterling, he's a former counsel to the House Judiciary Committee, and currently the executive director of Criminal Justice Policy Foundation. Wow, that's a mouthful. He basically came out and said that they're just dumbfounded. What they thought what would happen would be like 2010 in California. The cannabis folks start fighting, things fall apart, nothing happens, it doesn't pass. The other thing that's mentioned in this article is they're also dumbfounded by the percentage that it passed by, which we talked about last week. 10% in any election, that's almost landslide territory. That's huge, Colorado. Again, we got to really pat ourselves on the back on this for getting out there and educating, because if we wouldn't have, there's no way we'd have had that 10% victory.
Right.
The second biggest thing that I see, well, I don't know. It's all so big. It's really hard to rate it. But we'll go with here. So today, Rhode Island and Maine announced that they're going to present legislation, I believe, in the next session for legalization as well, regulation and legalization. And I think what we've seen here is a domino effect, because you've also got Vermont and Massachusetts who have stated that next year they'll be coming up with similar legislation as well. So within a week's time, that's 4 more states besides Washington and Colorado who are coming out. And I think the bigger picture in this story, it's not the voters. It's not petitions. It's not ballot initiatives. It's the legislators writing these laws.
The lawmakers, right.
They see the will of the people.
And they're seeing what it can do as far as putting money back in their pockets from taxes. And, it's something that people shouldn't be prosecuted for, and they're just wasting a lot of time. And I think lawmakers are starting to realize that.
Time and money. And we're going to fly through news because I've got one more big announcement and story. I know she's waiting to hear about it. And I'm a big part of it, so I'm excited. The last big piece of news real quick, and we'll try to get to some more maybe in the 8 o'clock hour, is Latin America. A couple of years ago, they formed a coalition because, let's face it, that's who the war on drugs affects. There's 60,000 plus people who have died down there south of the border in Mexico within 4 years. It's absurd. Their coalition of Latin America leaders, basically, I'll just tag them. Our other producer would love that. We throw Mexican jokes back and forth because he's Mexican and he starts it. It's his fault. But anyway, they've pulled together, and kudos to those countries. And again, come to us and said, come on, guys, let's rethink our drug policy. We're the ones paying the price. So I think our federal government is taking pressure right now from every angle possible. And folks, we got to keep the pressure up. You got to make the phone calls. You got to get to the protests. You got to get out in numbers. You got to make your voices heard.
Hold a sign.
Hold a sign. Write an email. For God's sakes, you can go nowadays on so many websites and just fill in your name, address, phone number, and it's got a form letter, and hit send. Now, if you're going to be that lazy, I want to suggest to maybe add a little personalization to it.
Yeah, you can slightly edit it if you need.
Yeah, I hope you guys are having a great day and there's lots of clowns and butterflies at the White House today. I don't know. So before we run out of time, the big announcement, we talked last week about what I'm calling at this point the Bob Kraus ordeal. It's no longer a trial. He won his trial. He was acquitted by a jury of his peers back in June, and since June, there has been a refusal to return his meds. So for the last three Fridays in a row, I've been with Clifton Black, his attorney, and Bob at the police station for what were supposed to have been set appointments to pick up the meds. Each time the police department had a different excuse. The first time it was very closed door. They wouldn't talk to us. So we went back to court. And last Friday, basically the judge told the DAs that were there, hey guys, I issued this order. You need to honor this order. You have basically 2 more hours to give this guy's meds back. Well, somehow, and this is the scary part of this to me, within that hour from the time we left till the end of the day, they managed to get a stay from the appellate court. And for folks who don't know what a stay is, that means it's just like it tables it. So until the appellate court can hear the issue, he doesn't get his meds back, and they don't get in trouble. Right. I mean, the judge made it very clear that he would enforce the order, which I was kind of waiting to see. I want to see the police get arrested by the police. I want to see how that works out. But the good news here is I got a call right before the show from Cliff, and we will be going tomorrow at 3 p.m. to pick up Bob Krause's medicine finally. Hooray. The Court of Appeals in Colorado has shown some justice. I think they basically laughed this off and told them that they need to honor the order of our judge.
Give the patient back his medicine.
And, this is, it's a victory for Bob. It's a victory for all of us who have worked with Bob closely. But it's really a victory for all the patients in Colorado, because that at the appellate court level, that sort of, it's not a case, but it still sets a precedent to a certain extent in that you can't just go taking patients' meds.
No.
So, Sam, we have to play commercials, and then we have to get to work. So you want to cue us up some commercials. And I apologize. We had a lot more news to get to, and we'll try to squeeze it in at some point. But next, we're going to have Mr. Trip Kieber and Miss Christy Lunsford from Dixie Elixir. I know they've been super busy, and they've always got new stuff coming out. I'm kind of excited about this new product. So we'll be right back. Stick with us on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
Medical marijuana treatment brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
The law offices of Edson Maton and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our 2 locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
The Hemp Connoisseur is Colorado's premier guide to hemp culture. Our mission is to elevate the image of the medical cannabis and hemp industries to create widespread acceptance for all of the uses of the cannabis plant. You can find the Hemp Connoisseur in over 200 7-Elevens, your local dispensary, MMJ doctor offices, and tattered covered bookstores. Also, visit us online at thcmag.com or download our brand new app for your smartphone.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706. Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
Here on iCannabis Radio and Overgrow the Radio, and you're listening to www.icannabisradio.com. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm pretty good. I liked how you sold our studio, our station there.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah, for everybody who listens to our show, absolutely check out the other shows on our station. On Monday night, Georgia Edson does a show. She doesn't really have a title ananymore. She just comes in and does her thing. You know,
Georgia
she's been
show,
doing it for a
yeah.
bit. She gets to do that. Tuesday night, we have actually. I don't know if I can formally announce it yet, but I know that Josh is coming back, and he's got a co-host that's going to be pretty exciting. He took a little hiatus. I understand life gets busy.
So what show is that?
Well, I don't know that it has a title yet, but
okay.
but it's American Weed essentially is coming back on Tuesday night. Tuesday nights, and then Sexpot Radio follows that from 8 to 10. Jenny's an interesting lady. For those who know her, her show is amazing. It's sex and pot and sex. And, well, that's what it is. Wednesday night is IDAB. They've moved temporarily to a monthly format, and I was their producer this last month. It was great. It was interesting.
Do we know what week of the month, or is it just going to be announced soon?
Announced soon.
Okay.
I think their followers know. So if you're a dabber, you probably know more than I do.
If you know what dabbing is,
yes.
then you know when the show is.
Yes, exactly. And Thursdays are a busy day. We've got THC Radio, the Hemp Connoisseur Radio, which is a great show. I actually caught a little bit of it today, but that's kind of my prep time. So check them out. And then, well,
and then us.
Then Holly G. I mean, I don't know about me so much. But, you know. And then Friday, I've got a show I'm working on for Friday evening, so it should be up soon. I'll be announcing something soon.
Cool.
So I want to welcome our next guest back. They come in once a month and cause some trouble with us, and I've been watching you guys a lot in the news lately. You guys have been busy.
We have. We've received an incredible amount of attention over the last couple of months, thanks in part to my very capable marketing director, Christy Lunsford. So we're excited about that, but we're certainly really appreciative, guys, for being here once again on Overgrow the Radio. Got some interesting things to talk about tonight.
Dixie.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you guys. We, as I like to repeat, we only work with people who do good things. So if you keep doing good things, we'll keep working with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. We certainly acknowledge Cashy today on our Dixie Facebook page, and it's a sad moment. I never had the pleasure of meeting this family, but certainly knew them through Miss Heidi Hanford and Irv Rosenfeld. And so our thoughts and prayers go out to that family, certainly as individuals, but also as a company. There are many other people out there fighting the fight, and we're anxious to provide the appropriate tools, the resources in the form of medicine, and also products that are generally recognized as safe with our hemp CBD wellness product line. So we're diligently working to get that out as quickly as possible.
I guess I skipped something. Congratulations. I believe you guys came out on our show sort of unofficially in support of 64, and we won.
We did. We absolutely did. It's been a fascinating 6 months because we were very private as a company as to where we stood on the position because it was a very chaotic issue as it relates to the medical marijuana industry here in the state of Colorado. About 6 months ago, we started to become more public, and certainly we're very active in supporting that through Sensible Colorado, both Brian Vicente and Kristen Setterberg and all of the capable staff at the Prop 64 Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol. And it was a momentous occasion. It's a milestone, certainly not only for the state of Colorado and the industry, but I dare say the world. And it's been fascinating with the National Marijuana Business Conference that took place last week. We did interviews with media outlets from literally several continents, and it's really been a focal point for the last 2 weeks.
Well, I know for me personally, by the way, I saw some great photos of you guys at the victory celebration at Castleman's.
Not me.
Oh, maybe it wasn't you, but there were some Dixie. There were a
it.
couple Dixie employees sprinkled in the photos.
Yes,
There were.
absolutely.
And then also today I saw more photos of you guys at that conference, which
Yep.
I think we'll get to in a sec. I wanted to ask though, I know personally for me, we were talking before the show, it was very much a delayed reaction for it to sink in with 64. Was that kind of what you guys experienced?
I don't know. I mean, I watched it in real time, and I was with some fellow medical marijuana entrepreneurs. And, the results of Tuesday were exactly what I was hoping for as a business professional. It certainly positions our company to take full advantage of both the election, for the presidential election, and then certainly with Prop 64. And as I said, as I've been saying for years, we ultimately didn't design that 27,000 square foot state-of-the-art production facility to serve 100,000 patients. And now I believe we'll be able to serve millions of consumers, both state of Colorado residents, but also tourists that potentially are coming from outside the state and potentially overseas.
Well, I really, to jump ahead a bit on what you just said there, the tourism, I think, is so underplayed in this. I don't think, the estimates for the revenue, I think, are just minuscule to what we're actually going to see with tourism.
A real Broadsterdam.
Yeah. We've talked about that. I mean, currently in the state of Colorado, you're looking at about a $300 million market. That has grown exponentially. It's approximately out of 2 billion, 18 states across the country that offer some form of medical cannabis. You're likely going to go from 105,000 patients in the next 12 months to an excess of 1 million consumers. I'd say that number would be extremely conservative, to your point, Stickman. Wow. And so it would be logical that the revenue would grow from north of probably $300 million to an excess of $1 billion in a very, very short period of time, and that's material growth.
Well, I concur. I mean, all you have to do is look at the fact that, well, number one, in my opinion, we have better medicine at this point than Amsterdam.
Oh, yeah.
But the simple fact that you can carry up to an ounce here as a recreational user, and you go to Amsterdam and you get 5 grams. I mean, let's contemplate that for a minute. You're going to spend thousands of dollars to go overseas, or a couple $100 for a plane ticket to Colorado, where you have beautiful mountains. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, Amsterdam is very historic, a lot of pretty architecture there. But let's face it, it's not Colorado.
That's right.
So what does 64 really mean in your mind, the broad picture for Dixie? What are the benefits for Dixie out of 64?
Well, just to be slightly crass, I mean, if our business was worth X on Tuesday morning, on Wednesday morning conservative light, in my opinion, it's worth 10X and exponentially growing. As I said, we have always designed our business to expand with the market's growth, and we're well positioned. But equally, if not more important from the just basic brass tacks, the economics of it, is that we will be able to serve a larger group of individuals that are very, very interested in embracing this powerful plant. As we all know, there's 100,000+ patients. It's not easy to get a red card here in the state of Colorado. And now that that plant marijuana will be regulated like alcohol, I dare say there's going to be hundreds of thousands, if not north of 1 million, that will embrace it. Many people choose not to embrace cannabis because it is an illegal drug. That is no longer going to be the case here in the state of Colorado. And so what that means is that I would imagine, as you pointed out, the momentum will continue. We have those 4 states back east, a very powerful segment of our country that will push from medical marijuana to the legalization of cannabis, and that's a powerful milestone that we'll probably see in the next 12 to 18 months.
Well, I mean, absolutely. I think I was going to ask you that if you see it happening that way as a domino effect. I mean, I didn't expect it this quickly. Mm-hmm. It blows my mind, to be quite honest, that there's 4 states right now proposing this. They're
definitely taking a leg from Colorado. They're seeing how we're going to stand up on this new amendment, and
Well, and as I went off on a rant, and I won't take up much of your time last week, and I preach this all the time. We're in a fishbowl. Colorado has the best medical model in the world. I don't care what anyone says, the way that we have our amendment, and it's in the Constitution. In my opinion, anyway, we're the most protected in the world of any medical state. That being said, the fishbowl we were already in just got magnified by 1,000. Now not only is the country looking to us for guidance, we have the whole world looking at what we're doing here and how we move forward. And the key there is how we move forward. It doesn't matter. It's past, the naysayers and the people who were proponents such as us. We've got to come back together, and we've got to put our best foot forward and work together and do this in the right way. And we've got to make sure that the follow-up laws are done correctly. We've got to make sure patients are taken care of. We've got to make sure recreational users are taken care of. It's going to give us a chance to address things that we didn't get to address in 1284. So it's just very exciting. So I'm going to let you continue on that. One of the things that I wanted to point out that I see as a possible huge benefit with the Dixie X line. Mm-hmm. That we've talked before about the costs and bringing the hemp paste from Canada, and we've been into that. What will that do in that aspect? I know it won't be immediate, but...
Well, it's not. It's funny because I had a meeting today with Christian Sederberg, obviously one of the authors of Prop 64, and many people have overlooked it, brushed it over, but the commercial industrialization of hemp is in effect now legal here in the state of Colorado, and that is an incredibly important aspect of our business because the Dixie X, the hemp CBD wellness product line, is predicated on access to that industrial hemp. And today we cultivate it on 4 continents, 5 different facilities. And the transportation costs are a major line item. And so as I committed to when we launched the product on your radio show, it's going to bring that cost down, which should be very, very exciting for consumers and patients alike, because it has been our goal since day one is to get this powerful, revolutionary product in as many people's hands as possible. So it will help for sure.
Well, absolutely. And real quick, we're going to take a commercial in a couple minutes and split your guys' segment and give you a little breather. But before we do, you mentioned the last time you guys were here about a program that you've started to help people offset the cost of the X line. Can you talk about that real quick?
Absolutely. I'll let Christy talk about it.
The Compassionate Care Club allows you to have 25% off your Dixie X hemp wellness products. And what you do is you commit to being enrolled into the Compassionate Care Club for 12 months. And it's an auto order program. So it allows us to ship your product every month on the same day, charge a credit card every month on the same day, and you have the convenience and comfort of knowing that you're going to get your Dixie X dewdrops or your Dixie X hemp oil capsules, and you'll have the hemp wellness products that you need, which are being sold as food supplements. So.
Well, and one more question that I just like to squeeze stuff in before breaks. There is a viewer question on here that asks, when will you guys be out in Washington, the state of Washington?
One thing before I answer that question, I wanted to add to Christy's comments. We're seeing upwards of 30% of our orders now subscribing to the Compassionate Care Club, which certainly is important as a company that is for profit, but also it's indirectly an endorsement and a testimonial, if you will. And we have to be very, very careful because we can't make claims. We're not physicians, medical doctors. But, approximately 30% of our orders are now renewing under that Compassionate Care Club. So it's important. As it relates to the state of Washington, listen, we will be there. I can assure you in 2013, during the National Marijuana Business Conference, I met with no less than probably 6 different groups that are very interested in bringing these powerful products, both on the hemp CBD wellness line, but also on the Dixie Classic, the Dixie Elixirs and edibles side. And that is going to play a huge, huge role. And now that we have some direction from the legislators in the state of Washington, we'll feel much more comfortable doing so.
Very good.
And I think we're going to take it to a break here. Thank you, guys. We're just going to sit back and maybe get our backs right for a minute here. And
just a minute.
Yeah, just a minute. So stay tuned. We'll be back here on Overgrow the Radio.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals' all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com. Dixie Elixirs and Edibles, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment. Dixie Elixirs infused sparkling beverages, Dixie Edibles, dewdrops, tonics, and Dixie Scripts extraordinarily concentrated cannabis extract capsules, along with Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy. All of these medicinal remedies are available at your local medical marijuana center. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
Green Monster Glass, a full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380.
The law offices of Edson Maton and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
That Mad Hatter Smoke Shop has everything from space glass to butane and butane accessories, I tell you what. Located at 6091 West Colfax in Lakewood, and now at 2615 Walnut Street in Denver. Ah! God damn it, Reclaim, put your pants back on.
And we're back on Overgrow the Radio. I was just telling our wonderful sponsor / guests how I have a game that I like to play down in El Paso County where I just call it Educated EA. During the trials I sit in, I like to ride the elevators down with them. And we were there, as I mentioned earlier, on Friday for a hearing for Bob. And we had some media there, some of the mainstream media, so they had the big, fancy camera out there. And I, of course, was chasing them, asking them if Dan May is going to continue to even prosecute cannabis cases under 64. One thing we didn't mention in the news is everyone who's dropping cases now. Stan Garnett in Boulder County is dropping all misdemeanors up to an ounce and anything paraphernalia related. So that's basically what I was asking them. And it was really funny because I used to be able to jump in the elevator and I'd have that whole minute on the way down. Well, every single one of them ran for the stairwell. Oh. I was joking. There must be a photo in their office now that says, if you see this guy, do not ride an elevator with him. He will educate you.
Beware the stick man.
Beware the stick man. So during the break, I heard mention of a new product. I think every time you guys come on, there's something or other that's going on new. Miss Lunsford, I think you're going to let us know what's happening.
Absolutely. Well, we always do. We are always working on something new or interested in serving our patients, now our customers as well. And what we've recently brought out is the Mediment line. These were formulated by a group of clinical herbalists, and there's two different formulas. There's a sativa AM blend and then an indica PM blend, and they're currently in vanilla. My favorite is the chai, which is very, very tasty. They are obviously very convenient and discreet. This is something that goes well in the handbag or in the gym bag that you can keep in your desk at work. And also they're dairy-free, they're gluten-free, they're diabetic, ideal for diabetics because of the sugar content in them, and they are 10 milligrams apiece.
Well, and I guess it also solves that problem that I have when I come inside after medicating and my other half tells me that I smell like cannabis. Not only will my breath not smell like cannabis, it will be fresh and minty.
Absolutely. It's certainly the top marketing aspect we talk about, and that it freshens your breath. But one of the interesting things that I know we were talking about on the break, and again, I'm not a medical physician, but I have grasped the aspect that these products are basically sublingual, and so they're absorbed orally and bypasses the liver, which, as many people know, will filter out a majority of the cannabinoids when taking edibles or ingestibles. And so the efficacy of these products, as I've seen firsthand through some of our key patients that we work with in formulating, are incredibly powerful. And so one other thing to note is that eating mints is very socially acceptable along lines with chewing gum, which we all know we have the Can Chew CBD line of gum, which we'll talk about a little bit as well. But we're very, very excited about this line. It's a recent acquisition that we've made, and we're very excited to get it into as many MMCs as we can.
I'm excited to try them. You said it, anything that's discreet. There's a lot of places that you are, if you're a patient like me with pain, it's not like you can wait until you get home to medicate. If you want to continue your day, whatever your activity is, you have to medicate, no matter what anyone says. And this is off the record. Dixie cannot condone this. It's just something you have to do. Of course you want to be discreet. With any product like this, like the mints, or you guys actually have the little candies that I like a lot. And
yes.
Proper name, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Medicated fruit lozenges?
Exactly, sir. Ding, 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 winner. Yeah, I get those a lot when I'm over at Drew's over at We Grow. He carries those. He carries your truffles, too, which we've talked about before.
Truffles are wonderful, yeah.
Oh, God. I won't even go into those.
They should be covered on the Sexpot radio.
Actually.
some interesting story about those truffles.
Very much. Tamar Wise and I will be on Sexpot with Jenny Cush next Tuesday.
Oh, very good.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, we'll be talking about cannabis and women's health and women's sexuality. So that'll be a nice... sorry, Trip. You're not able to attend. He'll be in Mexico. So,
well, someone was telling me before the show that Fox News came out with all this craziness. Well, they do that from time to time about cannabis and talking about how it just kills your sex drive. And I'll be interested to listen to your perspective on her show, because I've always heard exactly the opposite. I can even tell you certain strains that I've heard that are aphrodisiacs.
Oh, for sure.
Well, we have the benefit of having scientists and scientific research that we'll be citing, and I don't want to give away the show, but it'll be an education. Not only, definitely for me, but also I'm really excited to hear what Tamar has to say about the issue. So, but back to discreet, safe medication. So the MediMints are certainly an exciting part to our line, as well as just everything else that we're doing at Dixie right now, leading up to the winter season and into the new year.
One point to further illustrate is that today we're manufacturing this mint line that focuses primarily on the THC aspects of the plant. But in the not-too-distant future, which we can't discuss specifically the release dates, but we'll be launching a line of hemp wellness, a hemp CBD line of the MediMints that individuals will be able to embrace with or without a medical marijuana card or in or outside of a medical marijuana state. So that's going to be an exciting development for those of us that follow the Dixie X line.
Well, and one last question. I've got a couple last things I wanted to ask you guys about. Does Dixie, and if you can't say anything, you can totally cut me off. You guys have a parent company. It's no secret. You're public. You've got different faucets, different entities, if you will. Does the parent company, I should say, have aspirations to go into the recreational side?
It's interesting. By definition, the name of our parent company, of which, for full disclosure, I'm an officer and a board member of, is Medical Marijuana, Inc. And it was interesting for our interim president CEO to attend the National Marijuana Business Conference, because really Medical Marijuana Inc.'s focus has been, up until about a year and a half ago, the ancillary businesses related to the medical marijuana business. But in the last 18 months, it's really evolved to focus on the hemp wellness line of our products. And so, although premature to discuss, there'll be some interesting but very, very positive developments, both for the companies like Red Dice, which are portfolio companies, but also the parent company as we evolve into the legalization of cannabis. And so it's certainly benefited our stock. We're publicly traded, as you mentioned, MJNA on over-the-counter. We're up about 40% over the last 2 days, so that's very exciting.
Yeah, I know. I've got to buy some stock before it goes crazy.
You were talking about that when it was 3 cents. It's now 13 cents.
I know. And Christy Wheeler reminds me every time I see her, have you bought stock yet? So I will get on that.
Still a great buy.
Well, I've got someone here. Every time you guys come on, we get a ton of feedback, and I publicly apologize because I don't always get it over to you guys. You guys, it looks like from your website, though, you've got quite a few testimonials. We've got a listener here, though, that says that they use the dewdrops every day for, I'm guessing, their migraines. Mm-hmm. And, it's just amazing. You find a product that works for an ailment, and it's your medicine. And I think you guys have those products. I think the quality and the consistency is absolutely there.
Absolutely. And, we're very quick to stress that these are being sold as food supplements. There's a lot of great research on Project CBD, where you can go in and look for a particular wellness goal that you're hoping to attain and learn more about how hemp oil can satisfy those needs. But yes, it's great to hear that people like the product and that you're getting feedback here as well, because that's what I do all day is I listen to customers about Dixie X, and then I satisfy media requests. And if it's any testimonial to how much people like Dixie X, the media are really getting on board. Before it was, one request for an interview a week. On Thursday of last week alone, Trip did 5 interviews with the British press, with the Japanese press. So we're really on an upward swing.
Well, we're honored to have such a superstar as part of Overgrow the Radio.
I still take the trash out.
Yes,
man. Don't forget us small people. Come hang out with us and have some fun once in a while.
I actually have a question for you guys about the mints. I know you said that it actually doesn't get filtered by your liver. So, and you said each one is 10 milligrams. So what does that mean for somebody when they're taking it as far as potency goes, with it being a stronger, quicker high?
Well, it's because it's essentially goes through the blood-brain barrier in your mouth and directly to the cannabinoid receptors in your brain. It's a very bioavailable, and that's why, Trip, I wish you'd tell the story about our colleague who, is a heavy cannabis user, but was kind of poo-pooing this, I'll need to take 10, and would you share what happened?
Yeah, I won't mention names, but the efficacy, the power of these products is not to be underestimated. Again, I would suggest, based on some of the information that I've read, and I certainly have followed up with some of our other manufacturers here in the state, that it's estimated that upwards of 90% of the cannabinoids can be filtered out by the liver. And so, obviously, there's a multiplying effect, if you will. Again, I think there's a lot of people that we feel that 10 milligrams is the equivalent of a fair and reasonable dose. You could always split these mints in half. But as I've always said, is that it's always easier to add to the experience. And so the other thing about these is that you're not going through the stomach wall, the stomach lining to get to the bloodstream. So the immediate availability of this medicine, dependent upon body type, composition, metabolism, is much quicker than you would a typical ingestible product, such as the Dixie Scripts.
Right. So would the tincture be pretty much similar?
Similar, absolutely,
yes.
Because it's sublingual. And for individuals that are looking to experience immediate relief, we found that the sublingual, the Dixie X Dewdrops or the Dixie Classic, are certainly a very, very efficient and effective way in which to access that medicine.
Well, this listener followed up by saying the dewdrops have cut their medicine by 90%. their medications.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's exciting.
It is.
That's why big reason why I do what I do. I'm right there with you. So that's awesome. Just me, whoever Just Me is. I'm a patient also who got off a ton of pharmaceuticals with cannabis. So whatever helps you. It's just amazing nowadays. When I became a patient, we didn't have the CBD line. So who knows?
It's changed so fast.
And you guys know I use regularly. I use your tincture. I call everything tincture. Forgive me. The CBD, because I learned from Tamar that I can actually get more medicated when I used that before.
That's right.
Yes.
It's become a daily regimen for me. I'm just going to admit that on the air. I look for my cheaper medication.
And for those of you who didn't catch when Tamar Wise from our science department was in, what Stickman is referencing is if you use the Dixie X dewdrops prior to medicating, the CBD in this product primes the cannabinoid receptor sites in your brain. So when you do ingest THC, you actually get a more powerful, more potent high. So this product can act as a primer as well.
I have to give you guys another little plug before we hit on our last little subject. So Christy actually, wow, some host left his ringer on tonight. I don't know who did that. Christy actually got to meet the newest member of my family last week.
Oh, yes.
Yes, my puppy, Addie. I've got a service dog that I'm in the process of training. So last night, my other half pointed out to me that she had a chapped nose and that her daddy needed to fix it. So I'm looking around for some, bag balm and can't find anything. And that's what Google tells you to use is bag balm. Mm-hmm. So I look over on the dresser and I see some of the Dixie X salve.
Oh, yeah.
And I put a little on the dog's nose, knowing that, it's not going to hurt it. Temp-based. Dog's not going to get high from it. So Addie's a little stupid. I like to call it puppy dumb. She's still going through the puppy dumb thing. So she licked it off the first time. So I put it back on. And I think the second time she realized it wasn't food. And this morning I got up and I'm happy to report that the salve actually works good on dog noses as well. Her nose was back to being nice and moist.
That's very good to know that you're able to take care of your baby.
Yeah. Second person in so many weeks that has told me that they're using the Dixie X pain relief salve for a dog's nose.
Sure.
It's not a market that I had identified early on. But.
No. Yeah, I mean, on a side note, I'm kind of an old hippie, as you know, and a lot of my friends for years have used hemp and cannabis to treat their animals. I have a really good friend right now who actually gives oil to his dog. His dog's suffering with cancer. And it's on an oil regimen, so it's amazing the benefits. Wow. Every living being, I believe, we're finding out has the endocannabinoid systems, and I really think that cannabis really works with not just humans, but a lot of different species. So before we run out of time, as I said earlier, you guys do a ton of good work. That's why I respect you. That's why I'm very honored to work with you guys. You were a big part of this conference that just occurred. I apologize. I do a show on Thursday night, so I didn't get to dress up and come to the gala. Mm-hmm. And Friday, I had dogs to go babysit, so I was not. I had 3 dogs at home waiting on me. I was not able to stick around for any workshops on Friday. So tell us about it. I mean, first, your involvement and what it was all about.
Absolutely. I'll take the first half of it. I mean, we were absolutely honored. I have so much respect for what the MMJ Business Daily newsletter put out. Chris Walsh, Amy, Cassandra, they did an amazing job. I actually wrote a testimonial last night flying back from Orlando to just really tout the level of professionalism they brought. We have attended hundreds, well, not hundreds, but dozens and dozens and dozens of these types of events. And it was executed and produced flawlessly. Moreover, there was an excess of 400-plus medical cannabis entrepreneurs. It was focused on business, but it was incredibly valuable. Dollar for dollar, it was probably the best investment that we've ever made. And we were honored to be a premier sponsor of both the conference as well as the NCIA Rock the Casbah Gala, which was cool. Yes, and so we look forward to doing it again somewhere probably else than Colorado. I hope they move it around the country. We'll have many more states to choose from. But it was a great experience, and just great thanks go out to the team that produced it.
Yes. Ann Holland Publishing, which is the parent company of MMJ Business Daily. And, you know, I was on the trade show floor for most of the time and caught a couple of the speakers, but just to have it only a couple days after Amendment 64 passing and to have that momentum and excitement. And also, Tripp and I have been working very hard, as well as the rest of the Dixie staff, on bringing out Dixie X. And it was just so nice to be able to see all of our colleagues and meet people from around the nation and the world. People came from all over for this conference. So we were really pleased to have Dixie be a tremendous part of it and tremendous sponsor.
Well, I promise that next year I'll figure out a way, show or no show. At least I'll get down, maybe put a tie on after the show and come hang out.
Go cover it.
There were a lot of ties. It was impressive. I don't wear ties.
Actually, I mean, I have to say, Christy actually approached me about us doing a live broadcast, and with the 2 shows on Thursday juggling, that's just really hard to do. But we'll try to be more involved as a station next year and get involved. And, you know, I haven't thrown it out to the viewers yet or anyone, and really outside of a couple people, but I'm really thinking about cutting my hair off in the next month, so I'll even look all business-like again.
Wow.
You know, it'll be a whole different me. Maybe I'll even get glasses like I've been meaning to do for the last 6 months.
Then we could take you seriously.
You know? Well, probably not. Not at all. I'm not that
quite
guy.
a transition.
So, guys, I know Tripp's starving over there. The poor guy works all day, and Christy doesn't let him eat lunch.
Never.
That's just the way it works at Dixie. You guys are busy getting things done. We really appreciate you guys each month taking time to come in. It's always interesting. I always learn something. And let's face it, you always have something new and cool that you're showing off. It's a great service to every patient out there to keep offering the variety and the ingenuity. Kudos. Keep going.
Well, we're very grateful. We really enjoy the partnership that we formed, and we see great value as well in aligning ourselves with your show, and we're grateful for all the support, but more importantly, just for spreading the good word of cannabis as well as products like Dixie and other manufacturers. So we're very loyal to you guys, and we greatly appreciate what you do.
Thank you, sir. And more importantly, turn that damn phone off and go enjoy yourself for the next couple weeks. How's that? I know, man.
My friend.
I'm way overdue. I want to get my backpack and just go out into the freezing cold for a week and say, see ya. So enjoy that.
Far. Thank you.
Enjoy that. So we know what time it is. It's that time where I got to go get my back right.
Break time.
Break time. So we'll be back in a few minutes after my back feels better. We love you. Stick with us here on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
We Grow Colorado, the premier medical marijuana dispensary in Colorado Springs, is proud to be a part of the medical marijuana community. We Grow Colorado works hard to make every patient feel comfortable and informed. With a great selection of medical cannabis in multiple forms, the patient finds many premium choices to aid in their self-treatment. The staff at We Grow Colorado is another large part of what makes We Grow Colorado the #1 choice for many patients throughout the state. Visit them today at 2502 East Bijou Street in Colorado Springs for an experience that will last and last. Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com. Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
Dixie Elixirs and Edibles, the nation's premier infused product manufacturer, brings you the newest in hemp CBD wellness products, Dixie X. Derived from CBD for medicinal hemp, this non-psychoactive cannabinoid provides the medicinal effects of cannabis, but without the high. Join the Dixie X revolution today at www.dixiex.com. DixieX.com. Or like us on Facebook, Dixie X or Dixie Elixirs. Interested in hemp CBD wellness products? Join the Dixie X revolution. Dixie X has created 3 new products using hemp-derived CBD. Dixie X Scripts capsules, Dixie X Dewdrops, and a 1 ounce 100 milligram formula and a 2 ounce 500 milligram formula, and Dixie X Botanicals Pain Relief Salve. If you're interested in these products, look for us on Facebook, Dixie X, or at www.dixiex.com.
That Mad Hatter Smoke Shop has everything from space glass to butane and butane accessories, I tell you what. Located at 6091 West Colfax in Lakewood, and now at 2615 Walnut Street in Denver. Ah! God damn it, Reclaim, put your pants back on.
Interested in the amazing benefits of CBD? Check out Dixie X Hemp CBD Wellness Products at www.dixiex.com. Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com. Dixie Elixirs and Edibles, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment. Dixie Elixirs infused sparkling beverages, Dixie Edibles, Dewdrops, tonics, and Dixie Scripts extraordinarily concentrated cannabis extract capsules, along with Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy. All of these medicinal remedies are available at your local medical marijuana center. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
Green Monster Glass, a full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380. Hi,
I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
2 of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our 2 locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
And that lovely music that Sam's got queued up means that we're back. And my back is all right. How's your back?
I'm feeling very relaxed after that break. It was nice having the Dixie folk here in the office, and I'm excited to try the new mints.
Oh, yeah, I got to share those. Damn it.
Yes, don't hide those.
I forgot about that. Well, you know.
Don't bogart that mint.
Yeah, wait till you see these, man. That's their new product. Every time they come in, we get gifts. They sponsor, and they do a little segment each month. And, last month I got a top secret thing I can't talk about. I'll tell you off the air. And then this month we got their new mint.
Shh, it's a secret.
It's a secret. So our next guest is joining us. I'm just going to introduce him as kind of a rock star attorney here in Colorado. If you hear the name and you're in Colorado, it's pretty much synonymous with causing trouble. Rob Corry, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing great.
And with cannabis.
With cannabis?
Mm-hmm.
Rob has cannabis?
No.
Still high from the Amendment 64 victory.
Congratulations,
I still can't believe
friend.
it. It's too good to be true.
How long have you waited? You just said off the air, but I'm going to have you repeat yourself.
I think it goes back to when I was about 15 or 16 and, smoking joints with my friends, sitting around talking about wondering why this is illegal. Why? It made no sense then. It's never made sense to me. To this day, I've never heard a good argument why it's illegal.
Where'd you grow up?
Iowa.
Oh, I'm right next door in Illinois. So you were taught just like I was that it was this evil, horrible plant.
Absolutely.
And then you experience it and you're like, wait.
Yeah, and that exposes that your teachers and the cops who come to your school and do these presentations are lying to you. And you figure that out at a young age. And that's one of the really negative side effects of drug prohibition, that it creates a lack of respect for law and order, which is too bad. Yeah, DARE. People who go through DARE smoke marijuana at higher rates than those who don't go through DARE.
I'm a DARE graduate.
Me too.
Me too.
I never signed their stupid pledge, though. I'm quite proud of that.
yeah, I was a nonconformist on that as well, I believe.
Yeah, but I think from Illinois and from Iowa, I mean, Iowa's a rural place. It's not an urban place, and cannabis was everywhere. And it wasn't native Iowa cannabis. This was, California, Hawaiian. Remember, we used to get Thai stick, all these 1980s terminology, Maui Wowie. Literally, we had Maui Wowie and Colombian Gold, and it just...
Was it accepted in Iowa? Do you feel like it was?
It was pretty widely accepted. I mean, it was...
It was. I mean, I grew up in a town of 5,000 in Illinois, a little farm town, and it was absolutely accepted. I mean, half of our population were migrant workers, so they called our town Little Chicago because there were a ton of drugs. And the people who didn't accept cannabis just turned a blind eye. Was that the way it was?
Pretty much. I mean, you could get it at high school. You could get it easier than alcohol, which is our point throughout this campaign and throughout the whole argument, really. You could order it up from any number of 15 different sources at school. The price competition was pretty keen, and I mean, it was, nobody was pushing it on. There was no drug pusher, so to speak. It was, you went to a dealer and begged him to sell you some pot. It wasn't the other way around at all. And so I guess, to make a long story short, it's just it seems like this has been one of the battles through my whole life. And finally, Colorado voters, I mean, they saw the light, and it is just what happened on election night is still sinking in to me. I mean, it is revolutionary. There is no black market in Colorado anymore. It's legal for any adult to walk around and possess cannabis.
It's amazing.
It's awesome.
I mean, I don't know. Get Holly's opinion. It's very surreal to me. I mean, it's absolutely still sinking in. That we sat here with the campaign and did their audio spots and were part and worked with. And guys, the world is amazed by us right now.
Yeah, and I hear they're dropping cases, misdemeanor cases around the state, and I know Washington was doing the same thing since they passed a legalization as well.
They did. The Boulder DA took the lead. Stan Garnett, kudos to him. I've heard Grand Junction police are not issuing tickets. I've heard other DAs are thinking about it. And then, of course, our friends in some of the other more recalcitrant, backward-thinking jurisdictions are still clinging to the old way, which is fine. They're hiding behind the fact the governor hasn't signed the proclamation yet. If that's their whole brief against this, well, that's good, because that'll evaporate within days.
Mm-hmm. What is the word on that? We were talking about that before the show, and I have you heard anything? I mean, what's his holdup? What's his delay in signing the certification?
Yeah, isn't that interesting that the governor's procrastinating like a stoner? It's time for him to, like a stereotypical stoner, and he's using these stereotypes about Cheetos and goldfish and that kind of thing, which is, funny, and it's all good to have some levity, but it is serious business too. And what the voters did was a revolutionary thing. So what's going to happen is, the governor cannot opt not to sign this proclamation. That's not an option. So he must sign it within 30 days of the votes being canvassed. So that's got to happen.
Well, and I say it a lot. I don't really watch a lot of TV. I watched more mainstream news in the last week than I've probably watched in the last year, right? So I'm watching the news one night down in the Springs, and I see the back of a head with two little ones, I believe, the back of their heads as well. No names. And it says local, I can't remember exactly, but local MMJ attorney visits the governor's office with a gift. So, of course, I was intrigued. You know, the dogs were ready to go out to the restroom, so I ran them out real quick and got back before the commercial break. Yours truly. So I'm going to let you tell us that story and where you came up with that idea, because I think it's brilliant.
It was a great story, and it was a lot of fun. I think everyone knows that Governor Hickenlooper's election night message was, you know, he literally said, don't break out the Cheetos and Goldfish just yet because it's still federally illegal. And, you know, kind of a off-the-cuff remark, which then appeared on the governor's official website as his official written statement in response to the voters of Colorado making what is literally one of the most historically significant decisions of our lifetime. I mean, this election could be – it's the most important election of my lifetime, and I'm old. There has not been a more important election before this, and there may not ever be another important election. So this is our governor, the leader of our state, coming in there and making some stupid, half-baked joke about Cheetos and Goldfish. So, you know, I was talking to my oldest two daughters about it, age 7 and 4. They love Cheetos and Goldfish. They said, let's
and
go.
And I bet they don't smoke cannabis, huh?
No. And if I thought, by the way, just as a father of 4, you know, if I thought for a second that 64 would harm my children, I would have been one of the strongest voices against it. But I never believed that. I mean, in fact, the opposite. This helps our children in so many ways, and we can get into that in a bit. But on to the story. So it was their idea. They said, you know, and I think the 4-year-old said, we should go deliver some Cheetos and Goldfish to the government. She calls them the government, not the governor, because she's still 4. And I just thought that was so funny. And so we went out and bought some bags of them, brought him in there, handed him to his friendly staffer there. The governor didn't come out, but they loved it, and it was a good little piece of civic education for these girls to know that, you know, there is a governor and he has an office and the people have a right to petition him and bring him things and that sort of thing. And so it was positive, and the media picked it up. I was actually broadcasting live on one of your competitor stations, 106.7 KBPI, on the Nasty Show, Uncle Nasty Show.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a blast because, you know, there's Nasty, and I'm doing this real time talking about here's the Cheetos and Goldfish for the governor to break out. It is time for the celebration. This is a historic vote. I mean, this is a generational vote. This was the what I call the pot heard round the world. And literally around the world. I mean,
Absolutely.
The president of Mexico is talking about this. Isn't it ironic? The president of Mexico is talking about this more than the president of the United States.
Wow.
Well,
I'm still waiting for the president of the United States to say one word about this, because he hasn't yet,
Right.
to my knowledge. But the president of Mexico, who, you know, presides over a nation that, and this is no joke, they suffer carnage from American prohibition of marijuana.
60,000 people have died in 4 years.
Dead people, innocent people, dead because of this country's prohibition. And we put a major dent in that. And Mexico's doing the right thing. They're saying, we need to rethink this. Why are we dying? And Americans don't even want us to don't even want to prohibit this anymore.
I think they got we hit on the news briefly. We had to rush through their news tonight, but we hit on it briefly a couple of years ago. They formed that coalition with all the Central American countries, and I think they really got a lot of fuel for their fire again with 64 and 502 passing. I think that gave them the vigor to come back and try again.
No question. And, you know, the U.S. has always been the leader in setting drug policy worldwide. I mean, all these other countries generally enact their drug prohibition to follow our lead because they get pressure from us, and we, you know, condition foreign aid on their strong drug policies, and all that is going to start tumbling only because we little Colorado voters did the right thing. We're changing the world right now it's changing right in front of our eyes. It's a beautiful time. It really is.
Well, and I think here in a couple minutes we're going to pay some bills. Our sponsors like when we do that. And when we come back, I kind of want to go a little further with this as I like to say, one of the top attorneys here, that we have here, your perception on where we need to go, because what you just said is very important, and we talked about it with Dixie earlier, that we're in we were already in a fishbowl because we do have the best medical model in the country. It's magnified exponentially. That fishbowl, the world is now watching where we go from here. Passing it, I don't want to say it was the easy part, but it was kind of the easy part. I think there's a lot in the future that has to be addressed properly, otherwise it could be a train wreck. So
no question.
What we're gonna do, Rob, is pay some bills, and we'll be right back. So stick with us, guys. We'll be right back on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
The Hemp Connoisseur is Colorado's premier guide to hemp culture. Our mission is to elevate the image of the medical cannabis and hemp industries to create widespread acceptance for all of the uses of the cannabis plant. You can find the Hemp Connoisseur in over 200 7-Elevens, your local dispensary, MMJ doctor offices, and tattered covered bookstores. Also, visit us online at thcmag.com or download our brand new app for your smartphone.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
That Mad Hatter Smoke Shop has everything from space glass to butane and butane accessories, I tell you what. Located at 6091 West Colfax in Lakewood, and now at 2615 Walnut Street in Denver. Ah! God damn it, Reclaim, put your pants back
Dixie
on.
Elixirs and Edibles, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment. Dixie Elixirs infused sparkling beverages, Dixie Edibles, dewdrops, tonics, and Dixie Scripts extraordinarily concentrated cannabis extract capsules, along with Dixie Botanicals, all-natural topical therapy. All of these medicinal remedies are available at your local medical marijuana center. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com. Dixie Elixirs and Edibles, the nation's premier infused product manufacturer, brings you the newest in hemp CBD wellness products, Dixie X. Derived from CBD for medicinal hemp, this non-psychoactive cannabinoid provides the medicinal effects of cannabis, but without the high. Join the Dixie X revolution today at www.dixiex.com. Or like us on Facebook, Dixie X or Dixie Elixirs.
We're back here on Overgrow the Radio on iCannabisRadio.com. And you can also join our chat room on the website at iCannabisRadio.com and tell us what you think. And you can also let us know if you have any questions for our guests. We actually have attorney Rob Corry here in the studio tonight, talking a little bit about the legal side of Amendment 64 and what it's bringing to Colorado.
So there is a welcome back. I'm sorry, I jump in there like Jesus. I'm so rude. I just cut you right off. You know? There is a question here in the chat room about a plant count. I think it's more a patient question, and correct me if I'm wrong through the chat. Asking if you can split up your count between yourself as a patient and your dispensary. The simple answer there is yes. I believe that's still allowable.
Yes.
Okay.
It's always been that way.
Yeah. To get off topic real quick and just extend that, like I just asked you on the break, With the new recreational law kicking in with 64, I can already grow 6 plants as a patient. Well, I have an elevated count, so someday you may have to defend me in court. But
and now you get 6 additional plants for your recreational needs on top of your medical count.
That is a beautiful thing.
So it's on top of if you're
I would argue
holder.
in addition to, because Amendment 64 by its own terms does not touch the medical provisions, leaves those absolutely intact, and it's absolutely accepted that if a doctor writes you a recommendation for a certain amount, that's the amount you get, period. Now, the interesting part about plant count for Amendment 64 that hasn't been talked about a lot but should be is the fact that there's this 6 plant guideline for per adult, and that's a constitutional right. You have a constitutional right to grow 6 plants. You also have a constitutional right to possess whatever the harvest is of those 6 plants. That's in black and white in the new Colorado Constitution that voters created. And that gets us away from one of the big problems of Amendment 20, which was always, 6 plants, 2 ounces. That never matched up. It didn't make sense. And we understand why it was in there. It was, we wanted to pass something and we had to have some limits. This is much more intelligent because this says if you have 6 plants and your yield is a pound per plant, you don't have to destroy your marijuana. You can keep it on the premises, use it. It's your right, your constitutional right. And even more interesting here, which is one of the most fascinating nuggets in this thing, is there is a constitutional right to assist other adults in the exercise of their constitutional rights, which means you can grow 6 plants for somebody else. You can assist them in doing that because, let's face it, not everybody is capable of growing 6 plants. It requires time, money, patience, knowledge.
Space.
You name it. Space. Maybe you've got kids in your house. So the bottom line is, and the really fascinating thing is there's no limit. You can assist 10 of your friends and family members in growing their 6 plants.
So
you
that's
can
like 60.
Exactly. And, there's no elevated plant count recommendation, so that is off the table as far as Amendment 64. There's really no doctors, no need for them in this aspect of it. But this could be this is kind of the hammer that pushes the state to do the right thing and create these liquor store analogies, these retail shops, storefronts, because if they don't do that, well, if the leaders don't lead, the people will lead, and the people will just be able to grow essentially unlimited amounts, limited only by the amount of adults who are your acquaintances and who are willing to let you grow for them. And by the way, keep in mind, no paper is required for this. No red card, no doctor's recommendation, technically not even a written contract between the adults. I would recommend that, and we've drafted those, and those are going to be available widely to everyone. But even without that, the basic result of all of this is it is going to be virtually impossible for any prosecutor to prove any kind of case beyond a reasonable doubt as far as excess amounts, which is exactly what the voters wanted. I mean, they knew exactly what they were doing, and they knew exactly that they wanted to take marijuana out of the criminal justice system.
And what about the old tall tale? I know it's been said for years that the federal government will only come in if you're growing 99 plants or over. Is that a fact?
Well, not exactly. And that's a great question. I don't think you can have a conversation about 64 without mentioning the federal government. I'm glad you brought that up because, and that was Governor Hickenlooper's big he tried to rain on our parade and he failed, but, he brought right in the feds. The 99 plant thing is basically there's a sentence enhancer that kicks in under federal law if you have 100 plants. That's why a lot of people have informally decided to keep it under 100 plants. And, that's a way to minimize your risk, and it's a smart way to minimize your risk. So I'm not saying people shouldn't do that if they feel so inclined, but the reality is the feds really could care less about even 150 plant grows, 200 plant grows. Those aren't large grows by Colorado standards. The feds care, well, at this point, the feds have pretty much expressly said all they care about is if you're within 1,000 feet of a school. And we know that the feds know about 10,000 plant grows. 10,000 plant grows are all over our state, legally, by the way, licensed, operating quite openly with tacit state government approval, and the feds know about every single one of those and haven't touched them. So
I mean, to shift just a little bit, there is a viewer question here, and I'm going to tie my own question in with it a little bit. It's along the lines. It's asking, and I'm guessing the answer is yes, a co-op would be allowable under this to get some friends together and form somewhat of a co-op.
It would be, and you wouldn't even need to call it a co-op. In the past, we always had these well-papered up patient co-ops. That was the alternative to the center model that was developed, and that was an example of our endless creativity as cannabis consumers, and we think about these things and come up with these things. But it wouldn't even need to be papered up as much as it was in the past, because this is a constitutional right. I mean, if the four of us want to get together and exercise our constitutional right to free speech, which is exactly what we're doing now, we don't need a contract to do it. We don't need to sign something. You don't need to have me grant you permission to talk to me on the. I mean, we just do it. This is a free country, and this is our constitutional right to sit here on the radio and talk. And now it's our constitutional right to associate and grow cannabis together. So this is wide open. I mean,
yeah, it's just like having a beer.
My second, yeah, exactly. I mean, my second part to that is I don't want to wait till 2014 to get into business. And I hate to even put this out, but it's already in the works, so we'll just throw it out there. Beat me to it. Go for it. Private clubs, are they legal?
I mean,
as long as I'm not paying you for cannabis. If I'm paying a private membership to join your club and then coming in and receiving hand-to-hand cannabis.
Right. Here's the way I try to think about this. I mean, the title of it is Regulation of Marijuana Like Alcohol. And so when questions like that come up, what I try to do is think about it as an alcohol thing. Can you walk down 16th Street Mall and open beer, drinking it? You probably could, and maybe you'd get away with it, but you could get a ticket, a small ticket, by the way, not a misdemeanor, not a probation kind of thing, a fine. Can you walk down 16th Street Mall smoking a joint under 64? No. You'll get a small ticket for that with a fine, public consumption.
I thought you couldn't even smoke a cigarette on 16th
Well,
Street.
that's an interesting point. I don't think you can.
No.
Good point. So even
I didn't know that.
So there are restrictions. I mean, this is not an absolute, free thing and is anything in our society. I mean, can you scream at the top of your lungs at midnight from your roof? No, because you're disturbing your neighbors. So that said, though, the private club, there is nothing in here that restricts your ability to do what you want on your own property as long as it's legal. So you can invite anybody you want over to your home, exercise your constitutional rights, which includes the use of cannabis. The restriction is that you can't consume it openly and publicly or in a manner that endangers others. Now, the second part of that is you're not supposed to do it in a way that if you know you're impaired, don't drive a vehicle. But it also says you can't do it openly and publicly. Now, a private club at a rally, if it's a private rally and if it's not openly, and keep in mind that's an and, not an or. And this does matter. I mean, details matter in the law, and the restriction on growing is you can't do it openly or publicly. So either or, you can't grow openly or publicly, and obviously there's a common sense reason for that. We all understand, but the restriction on consumption is you can't do it openly and publicly. So private club, that's neither openly nor publicly. So I would say that is fully allowed. What you can't do as far as this individual right is sell marijuana or not. You can't make it available for sale. Sale is different from reimbursement.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got one of these things we talked about and some other adult gives you the right to grow for that adult, and naturally you're going to chip in for that adult's power bills, for that adult's fertilizer, equipment, space, time, maybe even. I mean, that's just human nature, and you're not selling the marijuana, but you're chipping in and reimbursing the person for the costs of producing it. That's perfectly legal. There's no restriction on that. But the retail sale of it, just like alcohol, again, going back to alcohol, you probably shouldn't sell kegs of beer out of your garage. And if you do, you'll probably get a ticket. You won't go to jail. You won't be imprisoned. You won't be a felon, but you'll get some sort of ticket. Somebody's going to say, well, you're selling alcohol without a license. And if you happen to have a bar and a liquor license on a different premises, they can pull that from you and that sort of thing. You're not going to be imprisoned or anything for it. Same thing with marijuana, I mean, you can grow it. Somebody can reimburse you for your cost, but you just can't sell it out of your garage under Amendment 64 because the sale of it is the regulated aspect of it.
So dispensaries, of course, that's not it. This is just if you don't have your medical card. So if you are a medical patient, of course, you can still purchase your medicine.
Certainly, yeah. The centers that exist now are going to continue to exist really as long as they so choose. I mean, I think economic realities are going to, in a year or two, create a situation where there are probably fewer red card holders just out of necessity or lack thereof. But in the meantime, if people are asking, I'm saying get your red card, renew your red card, keep being able to shop at these centers, because the very earliest you'll be able to shop at a retail store and have the selection and protection and all the advantages of centers that the centers now give you, the earliest that's going to happen is January 2014 without a red card. And I think that's pretty ambitious. We know the government, they move at a snail's pace. We'll be lucky if that really kicks in on the ground by January 2014.
Well, we had I got a call. I sit on a few boards at this point in my life, and I got a call, Friday, all panicked, well, what are we going to do? Really, what are we going to do? So we sat down, and hashed out, and I've been preaching it all along as a proponent, reasons that I would want to stay a patient, saving money, being able to carry twice as much on my person, two of the main reasons, obviously. So we sat down and addressed all these concerns, but I think it's important that people get out, that they do educate themselves, because you're bringing up valid points. There are a lot of reasons that, at least for the next 2 years, you don't want to get rid of your red card. You just don't want to run out and throw it away.
I agree. If you have an elevated plant count recommendation, that's valuable. And if you rely on that, you should continue to rely on that. And that's only a doctor can provide that to you under the current law. Of course, we've gotten people off in trials, for medical necessity when the doctor isn't explicit, but the point is to avoid all that at this point. So I think there are great reasons to be a patient. I mean, there's the PR reason. As someone who's spent thousands of hours in courts defending people, there is nobody more sympathetic than a patient who's suffering from a disease or a sickness or an illness. I mean, recreation is nothing to be ashamed of in a free country. That is our God-given right as Americans. That said, though, the recreational use is just common sense, less appealing to juries and that kind of thing than the medical use, which is why we led with medical use in 2000. That's why the voters 12 years ago did that, and then it took us all 12 years to get to this point. So of course, medical is more sympathetic, and that it'll always be that way, and that's probably a good thing. So if you want that kind of protection, keep your card, and if you want to simply possess 2 ounces versus 1.
Or more if your doctor writes more.
Exactly.
But then I think the biggest reason to keep your card as a patient, if you already have your card or are going to get it, is that the dispensaries and the medical marijuana centers, they know more about conditions. They can help you find a strain that better fits your ailment, and they're a lot more compassionate. I just foresee, even in stores, until things evolve and everything's been sorted out for a while with people that don't have their card, it's going to be, I feel like, a 7-Eleven for cannabis.
Yep.
That's
and
why
there's no question that's a huge advantage to having the
That's
card.
why she completes me as a co-host, because that's the exact question I was getting ready to follow with. And I do. I mean, do you see it trending that way? Do you see the dispensaries that stay medical? Do you think they'll get into more of like the therapeutics and the other after products, if you will?
I think there will definitely be some that will remain medical because, keep in mind, under 64, locals can ban the retail recreational shops, and unfortunately, some may decide to do that through deep-seated reefer madness kind of prejudice. And so, and these localities may not be the same ones that banned centers, and there may be some that allow centers but don't allow this. And so if you're a patient in one of those places, you're going to need your center. So there will always be the medical market. There's no question, but I think that it's also common sense. It'll be smaller, and a lot of these centers will opt to make the transition. And if anyone benefits from 64 just on a personal interest financial level, the centers benefit more than anyone else because they're first in line to make this transition. And they get the first mover advantage.
As you just mentioned, right. Well, as you just mentioned, actually you and I got to know each other in one of those draconian counties during a trial, friend of mine. And
I'm going to miss those battles. I am. I mean, my clients won't, but that part of my life is over and I'm moving on. I mean,
well, there's still some in jail though.
There are. And the prisoners of war are still in there. This war is over. And when wars are over, you need to release the prisoners of war. And there are still hundreds, thousands of prisoners of war and that's what the legislature has to focus on this session. Cleaning up those people's records, expunging past cannabis convictions that prevent people from getting jobs, housing, just follow you around. I mean, there are thousands of people walking around in Colorado who have convictions for things that are now perfectly legal. Not only legal, but constitutionally protected. We got to clean that up. The legislature needs to focus on that without question.
Well, hopefully, as we mentioned earlier, in the following rulemaking, I'd love to see a lot of things addressed that we didn't get to address before with 1284 and really Amendment 20 in general. I'm going to get your opinion real quick before we go to commercial. I briefly filled you in on Bob Krause's ordeal. As I said, we met under the guise of Dan May, if you will, our friend down in El Paso County. Your opinion, why do folks like Dan May continue this? I mean, we saw what Stan Garnett did, and that's a common sense thing. And in a county especially like El Paso, I like to point out all the time, I can't, as much as I dislike the Springs, I can't move out of there because there's too much work to be done. Just off the record, on the record, whatever you want to call it, your opinion on why he continues this war.
And that's a great question, and we in this movement have thought about this because I think most of us want to believe human beings are good, and I've always approached life and my profession from that general rule that, cops and prosecutors are no better or no worse than the rest of us. I mean, they're just human beings. But the problem is that our society and our system hand them so much power, and power can have a corrupting effect on human beings. That is human nature. I mean, that's what our U.S. Constitution is based on, that premise of checks and balances and checking the power of one person against the power of another person, and therefore neutralizing that power. But there are few government officials that have more discretionary power in their hands than prosecutors. I mean, they have the power to ruin people's lives with, a snap of their fingers, and that power is largely unchecked. It's really only checked ultimately by juries and judges. And that is a fearsome, awesome power. And Dan May has that power. And and we on the defense side, we have never had that power. I mean, I've never been a prosecutor, probably never will be. My power is running my mouth, which is nothing compared to the power of, imprisoning a man or a woman behind bars, taking them away from their family and their lives. And that is a amazingly ferocious power. And Dan May, unfortunately, I think he's been corrupted by that power, and that is a sad thing. Maybe he came into this as a reasonable person. I personally don't know the man at all. I've only seen him in hearings down the Capitol, but the voters did the right thing, and they said, look, we give you guys, you prosecutors and you cops, a lot of power. We're going to continue to give you that power, but we're taking away that power as far as this harmless plant is concerned. So the voters took Dan May out of the marijuana business in passing 64. And that is a major check on Dan May. That's why we have the initiative process in states like Colorado, and 20-some states have it. And the reason it exists is because we don't trust these elected officials always, and the voters have to sometimes come in and check that power. So to answer your question, I think that's the answer, that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and we give so much power to these prosecutors. For sure. And sometimes they exercise it very well. Sure. I've had many times prosecutors will do the right thing, and they'll dismiss a case, and they'll say, you're right, your client is not guilty, or even if he is, we can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Stan Garnett's a good example of that, and with his recent thing. So they're not always evil, they're not always bad. Sometimes they do the right thing, but it is still an awesome power.
Lots of work to be done.
Yeah, and there's never a good answer to that question. It's one of the million-dollar questions in this world.
So as we talked about, just to digress for a second, the federal intervention. I had a question on that I forgot to spit out. My big argument there, and I'm hoping this comes up, the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution. I mean, that's my answer to that.
Yeah, that is this is the United States of America. So we're a bunch of states that are united. Obviously, we have a federal government. Obviously, the federal government is supreme, but we're also states, and we're sovereign states. And unfortunately, our governor of our state it's sad. He is missing a historic chance to chart a course that is going to transcend. He's got 8 years in office maximum, and if he keeps behaving this way, he's got 2 more years, and he's out, and we're going to cram Tom Tancredo down his throat because Tom Tancredo made the right call on this. And Governor Hickenlooper used to have the Midas touch. He was he endorsed Ref C. Biggest tax increase of our lives. It still passes because Hickenlooper endorses it. Everything he used to endorse passed. He comes out against this. He's on the losing side. He misinterpreted his constituents. He made the wrong choice. So because in the spirit of Abraham Lincoln, that Republican who said prohibition is a ridiculous policy, but he also said, with malice toward none, charity toward all. Tonight, I'd like to offer Governor Hickenlooper a chance to endorse Amendment 64 after the fact. I'd like to give him a second chance, because there ought to be second chances, and we should be bigger than this, and we should not be sore winners. So I'm gonna allow Governor Hickenlooper to rescind his opposition and endorse it, and do the right thing, and back the voters of Colorado. And on the federal question, which I want to get to, Hickenlooper needs to stand up as the governor of our state. I mean, he needs to. He is not the regional administrator of the United States Department of Justice. He's an elected governor of Colorado. He's our chief executive. He's the CEO of our state, and the shareholders of that state, the voters, just made a generational decision, and he needs to back that. And this is important for him. So, and he can do the right thing. He has it in his power to do the right thing.
We have a caller. Should we take a question? Let's take a question.
Let's see.
Hello, caller. You're on Overgrow the Radio.
Hold on 1 second. We got to get your volume up here.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yes, hello.
You're on Overgrow the Radio.
Hi, we were just calling. We tuned in a little late, and we were wondering if we missed Trip already.
You did miss Trip. You're actually on the radio with attorney Rob Corry.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a question?
No, we were just curious to hear what he had to say, and we were wondering if we had missed it or not.
Well, you can absolutely go to our website later on tonight and catch the replay of the show, and they're on every month on Overgrow the Radio for a segment.
Thanks for listening.
We're gonna jump back in if you can get on and listen. We're talking 64 and what's happening. We got a few more minutes to go here.
And one more thing I do want to say about the feds, because this is important. I think we've all assumed, and rightfully so, that the feds are against us. They've been pretty belligerent, and this 1,000-foot from a school thing had no logic whatsoever, and they went with it, and we lived with it, and we moved on. But at this point, I'm not going to assume the feds are against us anymore. I really am not, because A, they didn't say anything during this campaign, nothing, and they had plenty of opportunities.
They were begged.
Barack Obama visited our state a record number of times.
How many law enforcement people, I'll just call them, went to the White House and said, please, please, please give us a statement against this, please.
Yeah,
and they never did.
The No on 64 campaign sent him a letter in a pathetic action of begging Caesar to come on down from high and tell us rednecks what to do. The No on 64 campaign asked them, and they didn't do it. So there's that, first of all. Secondly, Amendment 64 passed a week ago or more. They still have said nothing publicly other than we're studying the amendment. Well, I mean, that's just utter BS, because this amendment has been out there for a year, written, approved by the title board. I mean, these are smart attorneys in the U.S. Attorney's Office. These are not dumb people, and the U.S. Attorney is perfectly capable of reading this little 6-page thing and has probably done so 100 times. So their statement that they're now studying it because the voters enacted it, I mean, that's laughable.
Well, yeah, the thing we mentioned earlier was there was one random way out government employee that has a theory, that they're just dumbfounded, and maybe so, maybe that's true. They really thought we were going to go the way of California.
They may be shell shocked, but we had polling going into this. I mean, this is not a surprise. It may be a little surprised that marijuana got more votes than Barack Obama did in Colorado. We got 50,000 more. So there are 50,000 Coloradans out there, at least, and probably more, who voted for marijuana and didn't vote for Barack Obama. So that's important.
Is that not? I mean, is that not? Is there not irony there? Do you not see that trend? Our Congress approval rate and presidential approval rates fall constantly.
Yeah, they love.
And here, cannabis just keeps climbing.
And they're politicians, and they're about public approval, and that does matter. So here's and I'll finish this point. I'm sorry I've been so talkative tonight, but
that's why we're here.
Good.
Yeah, I think the federal government may actually do the right thing. I'm going to believe that until informed explicitly otherwise. I am assuming from this point on the federal government and the Obama administration. I mean, keep in mind, Obama, what are his roots? The Choom gang. He was like me growing up. He had these same conversations we all did when we were in high school. He had these conversations. He's a smart guy. He uttered these words 100 times. Why is this shit illegal? And finally, he has his chance. He's a second-term president. He doesn't even have to run for re-election. I mean, this guy could chart a historic course, and maybe that's what he wants to do. And so at this point, given their silence, and silence is deafening, I'm going to assume that they support Amendment 64. I'm going to assume they're going to do the right thing, even the feds, and obey Colorado voters' wishes. And I'm going to, until they inform us explicitly otherwise, I'm no longer going to assume the feds are our enemy. They could be our friend.
I think that's a good thing to assume.
You. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we also have the ASA, Americans for Safe Access hearing that they're considering. So I have a theory with that maybe they're just going to pawn it off on those guys and say, okay, we'll let you deschedule it or reschedule it or whatever, and then we don't have to address it so stingently.
Yeah.
Because
if they really did come out against this, they would be declaring war on the majority of Coloradans, and not just the majority of Coloradans, all Coloradans, because they would be disrespecting our fundamental political voice and our process that we have in place to govern ourselves.
And at what point in that process do they really have to start prosecuting the state as well? I mean, if the state's regulating not only medical at this point, but now recreational, You know, I've been arguing forever that every case you try, the state should be a co-defendant. I mean, you know, let me rephrase that. If it's a federal case, you know, absolutely, the state should be right there beside you.
Under any analysis, the MMED is a co-conspirator to a violation of federal law. And that
absolutely.
Not only a co-conspirator, I mean, they are literally the kingpin, because MMED decides who is in the marijuana business and who isn't. I mean, they behave under federal law. They meet the definition of a drug kingpin. Now, of course,
they'd be guilty of racketeering.
They do have an explicit exemption because they're state law enforcement officials enforcing a state law, so the feds can't touch them. But
let me stop you right there. As I mentioned, Bob Kraus. So in the court hearing we just went to, and this is where it just kills me again with the irony, how skewed our law enforcement is at the state level. Because what their whole argument is, well, we can't return the meds to Mr. Kraus because of federal law. As you just mentioned, they have that exemption. So it was really just a baseless argument. But here, again, we have Dan May saying, you know, that because of federal law. Now, is it something that you see often in our state where state employees don't follow the state constitution, but yet they obey they answer, if you will, to the federal constitution?
Unfortunately, yes. This federal canard is repeated over and over again by state officials who know better. I mean, Dan May knows better. He knows that he's a state law enforcement official, and he knows the Colorado Constitution, to which he is sworn to uphold, explicitly orders him to return the medicine after an acquittal. Immediately, by the way. It says immediately. There are very few things in the Constitution that say immediately, and this says that right there. And he also knows that in just my law practice, I've gotten medicine back at least 50 times, handed to my clients from police departments,
sure,
up and down across the state of Colorado, in quantities as high as hundreds of pounds of marijuana concentrate, seeds, growing equipment. All of that has been returned. Never have these employees returning this medicine or the equipment, they've never even, no one's talked about prosecuting them federally.
No letters, no.
The federal government would never imagine that. I mean, the federal government, if it was going to prosecute, they would prosecute the people that are, you know, manufacturing and selling the marijuana, and they know exactly where those people are. Mm-hmm. And there's a centralized list held by the MMED that is publicly accessible, and the feds don't even start there at that point.
Sure.
So, and that's low-hanging fruit. I mean, all the feds care about is 1,000 feet from a school, and that's a PR position that they carved out just for PR purposes. And now the ultimate PR statement of what Coloradans want is expressed in 64, and the feds have noticed that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we won with a landslide. As we always do, we ran out of time quickly because that's what we do here. We get to rambling, and there you go. Kudos on all the work that you did for the campaign, sir.
Thank you.
And I want to encourage all our listeners, if you're getting a divorce or if you're in a fender bender, call Mr. Corry because he needs some new crime to work on.
Well, maybe, but maybe
no,
not.
That's a joke. Honestly, if you have any drug problems, not drug problems, but law enforcement issues, drug-related, cannabis-related, he's definitely the guy to call here in Colorado.
How do people get a hold of you?
303-634-2244 is my office number, and my website's www.robcorry.com, ROBCORRY.
Right on, sir. What I'd like to do, because, again, we didn't get to nearly half of what I wanted to with you, let's come back on in a month, and we'll hash it out again and see where we're at then. I mean,
Gladly.
As we talked about in the news, we've already got 4 more states that are ready to legalize, and not the voters, the legislators.
Yep.
So it's huge. It's huge. Before we get out of here, I got to talk about the people who keep us huge and in business.
Our sponsors.
Our sponsors. Of course, Dixie Elixir, who was here first. They've got the X line out. They've got the Can Chew. We've got the mints in my pocket we're about to try after the show shuts off. Green Monster Glass. Again, our thoughts go out to Daryl. He lost his father this past weekend to cancer. Cancer fucking sucks. Pardon my French. Green Monster Glass. Stock your shelves with reasonable glass. It's that simple. Contact Daryl. His phone number's on our commercial. I guess you have to listen to the show again. The Realm of Caring. If you're a dispensary, you should be throwing these guys trim. realmofcaring.com. Help out cancer patients and other patients. Independent Records. Games, records, tapes, cassette tapes, you name it. A wall full of glass. It's there. Go see them. They've got 2 locations down in the Springs. And We Grow Colorado. One of my favorite dispensaries. One of the 2 or 3 that I shop at anymore. So stop in and say hi to Drew or G and tell them Stickman sent you. So I guess until next time, as I mentioned in the beginning, it was a week of highs and lows. I lost one of my greatest inspirations in a 4-year-old kid last night. And, as I mentioned before, his legacy will stay with myself and thousands of other people who he inspired for forever, for years to come. So, that being said, what we all need to do is go out and create our own legacy. And you don't have to be a Rob Corry or a Stickman and be on the radio or go try big cases. All you have to do is talk to your neighbor, talk to your family, talk to people in your life, and educate them about cannabis. And when we all do that, then the dominoes just fall one by one very rapidly. So, Holly G, thank you for an awesome show.
Awesome, thank you.
And Mr. Sam, he was all quiet over there. We keep him quiet in the corner. Thank you, sir. And again, Rob, thanks for coming in. We'll get you back in very soon.
Thanks for having me.
Talk some more trash. All right, guys, we'll be back next week. Or no, I'm sorry. Let me announce we won't be back next week. It is Thanksgiving.
Turkey Day.
I'm going to get really legally freaking high and eat a bunch of turkey. So I will be back the week afterwards. We're actually going to have Cliff Black and Bob Krause in that night to talk about the Dan May ordeal. And I've got another special guest coming in to tell his ordeal as to how he kicked Dan May's ass as well. So until next time, we love you and peace.
Peace.
Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
Green Monster Glass, a full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380. Hi,
I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
2 of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our 2 locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
The Hemp Connoisseur is Colorado's premier guide to hemp culture. Our mission is to elevate the image of the medical cannabis and hemp industries to create widespread acceptance for all of the uses of the cannabis plant. You can find the Hemp Connoisseur in over 200 7-Elevens, your local dispensary, MMJ doctor offices, and tattered covered bookstores. Also, visit us online at thcmag.com or download our brand new app for your smartphone.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706. Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.